Big Bacon. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to today's Big Bacon's collection. I am Big Bacon, in case you couldn't tell. Today, we're going to be looking at the Wave 1 G.I. Joe Classified Duke. I managed to actually pick this up at retail. In fact, this was the second figure I found at retail. I found it at the Walmart. So, what do you say we go ahead and take a look? Just for clarification, this is the version 1, not the field variant repaint. So keep that in mind as we go through the video. Let's start with the figure today. Now the stands I'm using actually come in two different sizes. One for the Mattel WWE figures, and they have smaller pegs. And I unfortunately ordered some for the AEW, which have larger pegs, so his foot doesn't actually peg onto this. But he's still going to get a stand. Why? Because in my house, we love stands. So taking a look at the figure. As far as the face sculpt goes, I like it. It's a bit more generic than the traditional Joes. Maybe I should rephrase that. This looks more like a person than the general bubblehead design that the Joes used in the 4-inch line. He's got this high and tight looking haircut with a two-tone kind of orangish and yellow to kind of give it a little bit of color. Got a really interesting scar over his eye. Face paint is immaculate. Ears are well detailed. Coming down the uniform, the shirt is very similar in color and cut to what the version 1 original 4-inch Joe looked like. Even down to the small gold insignia on his chest. Lapels are painted in this reddish color, and dear God, did they screw up that paint. It went off of one side, didn't come up on the other. And this one is just crooked on the paint. Interesting. This gold piece here actually looks like it's missing some paint. The rest of the shirt seems to be a little wide here, pretty much on point. They gave him an elbow pad on one shoulder, and I don't know why, but because they didn't paint the hinge part, they just painted the sides to make it look like it wrapped around. It really looks bad. His shirt on this arm is painted too far down onto the skin. Ugly orange watch. His knuckles, you can see the dark color bleeding through in multiple places. Comes with this shoulder bandolier. Multiple pouches along it. Got a buckle here that's not painted. But up here at the Joe Pro, they painted everything. In fact, they overpainted up here at the top. This area is nice and clean. Comes around, there is a hole in the back. Or at least there's supposed to be a hole in the back. It didn't actually punch on mine. That's weird. Oh well. It's got a belt which is loose. It fits nicely over the waist. You can kind of wedge it down on there to hold it in place. Nicely painted buckle. Once again, multiple pouches. Got a little peg hole here. Coming all the way around to whatever this thing is. And it and all the area around it are all painted in a sort of metallic color. A couple metallic colors with a blue energy type color recessed inside. I don't know how best to describe that. Pants are well textured. And in fact, these pants are used on a lot of characters. In fact, the Zartan that I recently reviewed uses these same pants. Uses these same legs, and because of that, well, we'll talk about that in the articulation portion. He's got a single thigh strap holster on his right leg. He's got these gold and metallic gray shin guards and knee pads, but they don't actually line up with the feet. They kind of lean inward. That's the foot straight on. If you attempt to move the foot, the whole boot moves. So, I mean, there's nothing. That's the boot straight on with the knee. And you see what I mean about it not being on there straight. You straighten it out, and it cocks his foot off to the side. Same is true for the other side. His boots themselves are sort of a brownish, almost military-looking boot. Once again, the knee pads, they've painted the strapping all the way around, but once again, the back of the articulation points aren't painted, so really kind of stands out. But given that the figure is going to be standing this way, I'm not as concerned about that. So let's go into the articulation. The head is on a ball with a hinge on the bottom of it, and the neck itself is on a ball. So what does that mean? It means looking up, he could actually look up. He looks way down. Don't worry, he's not looking down on you. He's got virtually no tilt, but his head does rotate. Shoulders. Ooh, those detents are tight. Shoulder comes up to 90. Rotates all the way around. There is a butterfly joint in there, but doesn't have a great range of motion. Bicep cut for rotation. Got a standard double jointed elbow. His hands rotate. His left hand has a vertical hinge. His right hand has a horizontal, so apparently he's supposed to be a lefty, even though they gave him a right-handed thigh holster. Go figure. Ab crunch, because of the crunch and the ball at the waist, he looks down pretty good. Looks upward, leans back really good. He's got some tilt because of that ball joint. Some hula hoop in action available. Rotation is available at that point. Now this is the bane of existence for a lot of us Joe collectors. The Duke hips. You see, these pegs, or these legs are really tight on that peg. And when you go to move it, you're not actually moving the leg on the joint. You're twisting the plastic inside. So I need to get some shock oil in there and treat that. Yeah, when you move the leg and it wants to shoot back, that's you twisting the peg. So outward, not great, but not terrible. Forward, we already attempted, and it keeps kicking back. Got a double jointed knee. Foot hinges back that far. Hinges forward only that far, and that's because of the plate on the shin guard. Front side rocker with bottom foot pegs. Now the problem with his feet, the detents that lock the feet, you cannot set the foot perfectly straight because it tends to lean. So you have to pick a way to lean it and then adjust the legs so that he will stand up straight. Let's move on to the accessories. Comes with this really nicely detailed backpack. Standard ruck style sack. Got the overhead tensioner bands. Multiple pouches. Has two canteens attached to the top. And for some reason, he's carrying a foldable e-tool in the open position. That nut right there screws. This actually folds down. Makes it much smaller and easier to carry. I don't know what emergency situation he's going to find himself in where he has to have an e-tool open immediately, but comme say, comme ça. Backpack simply pegs into the back. And it does help hold the bandolier in place. Next up we have a binocular piece. Eyes go here, imaging is done here. It's sculpted nicely, it's got some great detail to it. No paint whatsoever. And this thing here has its own peg, and you guessed it, it goes into that spot on the belt. Next up we have a Nerf pistol. Painted two-tone in a sort of gunmetal gray and a metallic copper, I guess is the best term for it. You know, detail-wise, it's not bad. I like it. I wish it looked more like an actual military weapon, but and that fits perfectly right there in his side holster. And last but not least, we have another Nerf gun that is loosely based off of an actual M16. This also has that gray metal, or gunmetal gray, that copper brass looking top, but it's got the blue energy markings that apparently were a big thing. This figure's based mostly off of his appearance in the Operation Blackout video game. And apparently, so are the guns. I think it looks alright, but it's not my first choice. So, what do you say? We pop this on the figure. No. Yes, there we go. Come on, my friend. Carry it in a lowered position. And there you have it. G.I. Joe Classified Duke. So let's take a moment, get him up on our shelf. Okay, Dookie, hold still for a minute. And there he is, joining the collection. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch y'all next time.